Alright guys, that sound you just heard at the beginning of the video is the sound where I'm going to go over right now. It's probably one of the dirtiest, bassy, like sort of Reece bass sort of things I've ever made in Sylenth. I definitely know Sylenth is capable of a lot of sounds, anything from soft synths, which is mainly what everyone uses it for, and for bass sounds because it has that analog component to it. But yeah, this bass sound right here is very reminiscent of like a Reece sort of bass. At least in my mind, it's got that movement and those characteristics that sort of would remind you of something like that. And when I was making this sound, I wanted to have a glide element to it. So as you can see, I'm using a G1 note right here, and then 2 octaves higher, I have a G3 note overlapping it. So in the space, you have that glide. So I'll play that real quick. I love that kind of stuff. I think there's not enough of that going on right now because I love this sort of stuff. So that's kind of something to do. If you guys like this sound, you're going to do the video with me, then I suggest programming this kind of stuff because that's kind of the reason I made it, or what I made it for. That's kind of the stuff I made it for. So it looks like there's a lot going on here, but it's just compression, side chaining, a little bit of cuts right here in the EQ, and a wow filter. And I'll play without the wow filter so you guys can hear it. It's a bit quieter, obviously, because the wow filter is adding an inherent loudness to it, but trust me, by itself it's very gross and grimy if you guys can hear that. I'll play it one more time. So, okay, let's get straight into it because there's a lot going on in this one. So I'm gonna go a little bit fast, you guys. I know you guys are gonna be pausing it when you guys need to. I'm just going over an explanation of what I did, but again, take your time, get the settings down. I'm gonna fly through this because trust me, it would take forever if I explained everything in another way. So, like always, we're gonna initialize this preset. Then we're gonna bring this up to 16. And for oscillator 1, we're going to bring this down an octave. We're going to use a Q pulse wave. We're going to bring this up to 4 voices, and retrig will stay on. We're going to detune this also to 5.76, and that's oscillator 1. Oscillator 2 now. This is down an octave. We're going to invert this wave. It's a a triangle saw, so it's a tri-saw. And this is 4 voices also. Retrig is on. And let's see, there's a little bit of detunage right here, so that's 0.57. And that's it for that. Our amp envelope, attack is all the way down, decay and sustain are up all the way. And there's a little bit of release here at 2.97. And let's go to our filter A. Again, I'm sorry I'm going so fast, but just please pause the video and get that stuff down. Our cutoff is at 24 Hertz. Our reso is at 3.05, and our drive is at 2.95. This is a low pass, and we're using the 12 dB slope for this. Our filter control right here, our main cutoff right here, is at 71 Hertz. The reso is at 2.43. Key track is all the way down. And we're not using warp drive. Okay, let me swing over to part B real quick. So now we're in part B. Our first oscillator, and the only oscillator we're going to use in part B, we're going to invert this wave. It's just a typical sine wave. This is at 8 voices. Retrig is on. We're going to bring the volume down on this because we don't want it all the way up. Let's just leave it at that. So we're going to bring that to around 1. And for our amp envelope here, the attack is at the default, so it's at 0.5 or 0.05. Decay is up all the way, sustain all the way down, and our release is at 3.26, and that's it for that. And for our filter B here in part B, this is a low pass also, but this one's on the 24 dB slope. And the drive right here is at 2.43. Reso's right down the middle, or slightly a little bit lower at 4.76, and our cutoff is at 8.88 hertz. Okay, so let's get into our mod envelopes. So we're gonna select pitch A and B for the top one, so right there, and cut off A and B for the bottom one. This is gonna be at around -4, so I have mine at -3.90, but you could also have it at -4 if you want. And the reason is because I have the cutoff A and B up 4, so they're kind of equally apart, but doing very drastically different things with the same mod envelope. So the attack is up all the way to 10. Decay is at 4.71. Sustain is all the way down. Release is at 2.01. And that's it for this one. Now let's move on to mod envelope 2. This is we're gonna bring this up all the way up to 10, which is up all the way. And this is our distortion amount. So this is really cool to play with. I'll show you guys what it sounds like without it in a sec. But for now, let's set this up so when we use our distortion. So our attack is at 2.59. Our decay is at 4.77. Sustain is at 9.77. And release is all the way down. Let's do the LFO real quick. So this is going to be a cutoff A and B. So you're going to select that from here. We're going to bring this knob to the left of it up all the way to the right. And the rate is at 1/4. Gain is up all the way. It's a little bit offset at 6.10. And this is a triangle wave. And real quick, you guys can do this if you want to. This is how I achieve the glidey type of sound. So I put this on slide, legato is on, and the portamento time is at 3.90. Okay. Now for distortion. So I found that clip was a really cool type to use for this, or if you want to use bit crush, it's a little bit more dirty. That's why I went to clip, because I wanted to clean it up a bit. But the dry wet is up all the way up, is at 100%, I mean, and the amount here is at 3.52, and it's being modulated by this envelope right here, so it's kind of giving us an interesting sound. So I'm going to turn this off real quick, and you guys will hear what that sounds like. And now when I turn it on, what this is it's gonna modulate the amount, and it's gonna give it like a breaking type of sound, or like a cracking sort of sound. So it's just gonna be a really cool, disgusting distortion that I love to use. Without it, and even without it, it's a very cool sound, but I really wanted to make a breaking, sort of stretchy type of distortion sound. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but that's sort of how I see it in my head, or hear it in my head. Alright, so that's the distortion. Let's move on to the phaser, which is sort of important in this one. So this is at, the dry wet is at 29%. Feedback is like around 50%, around there. The gain for the LFO is around 3.38. The LFO rate is at 1.4. The width, I think that's where it always is. This is where it always is. I brought this down all the way to 0.33. And let's go into chorus now. The dry wet here is at 16%. Depth is at 40%. These are down all the way. These two top, delay and rate, are down all the way. So is feedback, but if you guys want to throw up to 50% feedback, that's your call. I mean, that's a common way of how people use chorus and phasing, that sort of stuff. They have at least 50% of feedback, 20 or so % on the dry wet, and that's very common settings for those kind of things. But I just brought the feedback all the way down. And of course the reverb, which I love to use, at least with the wow filter when it's paired up together, because I'm gonna what the wow filter will do is sort of crunch everything up and reprocess it and make things sound just a little bit more toneful and colorful and that sort of thing. So the dry wet here is at 32%. Damp is sort of where it always is. I brought pre-delay all the way down, and I think that's what it always is at. So let me see, I covered everything. Okay. And for my EQ, I just cut a little bit of the low end, so around 100 hertz. I did like a 8 dB, negative 8 dB cut around 1K, and another negative 3 dB cut around 3.5K, and it's just very quick side chaining settings right here. So quick attack, quick release, kind of medium ratio. Threshold is at negative 18. My compressor is on peak. Gain reduction and is around let's see, is around there. So this is the threshold's at negative 17. Also, TAC is at 0.22 milliseconds. Release is around 85 milliseconds. And let's see, that's just very common settings right there. Now I'm going to turn on the wow filter. So this is what you guys should have. Now with the wow filter, you're going to hear the difference. Every day in my inbox I get messages of people thanking me for introducing them to the wow filter or showing them how I use it at least, and it seems like I've gotten a lot of people into the wow filter. So if you guys don't have this yet, I highly recommend it. You can just hear the difference. But I do say that for first-time users of the wow, you don't want to make it sound like the wow, like it was made with the wow filter. The whole point of it is to be subtle, but bring out the things that only the wow filter can bring out, without having it sound like it was done in the wow filter, if that makes any sense. So you want to learn how to use this in a subtle way. I'm not sure that I exactly do that, but I definitely know that when I first started using it, I've come a long way with how I use it. So this is just a setting I made a long time ago that I tweak every now and then, depending on the sound. So overdrive is around here. Cutoff is beneath 300 just by a little. Reso is above 30 just by a bit. Modulators aren't doing anything. I know this is moving, but I promise you see there's no modulation going on. So it's just moving just because it's sort of just wants to move. Mix is up all the way. Master is at 100, and that's pretty much the sound, you guys. So what you guys should have now. And if you guys like this, like and subscribe, because it lets me know what you guys like and don't like. When a video doesn't get a lot of support or views or that sort of thing, I just sort of don't talk about that topic again. So and again, you guys can always request videos and stuff. I've been busy, so I just haven't had too much time to get to everyone's requests, but I definitely don't forget about it. I save all the requests in like a notepad sort of thing, and I do get to them. So thanks guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think of this, and thanks for supporting me, you guys.